Welcome to the Taylor Emmett podcast. Honestly, not another boring legal podcast. I'm John Green, a personal injury solicitor at Taylor Emmett, and I'll be your host over this series of 6 podcast episodes. We're going to bring you the human stories behind what we hope will be interesting legal subjects. I'm going to be chatting to a smattering of experts from around the firm about what they do, who they are, and hopefully with a few smiles along the way. Right, let's meet today's guest. On today's podcast, we're joined by Philip Jordan from our corporate department. Philip, hello. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Thanks for coming in and joining us. We're going to have a little chat about your career and about where you see things at the moment in the world of corporate. But so before we get into it, could you sort of explain a little bit what you think corporate law is, what it means to you?
I think corporate law to most people would be looked at as being the law relating to corporate life, so companies basically. But in actual fact, it does include businesses because not everyone is a limited company or a company. There can be businesses, partnerships, etc. Mm-hmm. Within that sort of definition, there are perhaps nuances because years ago, when I first started as a lawyer, you were known as company lawyers, which meant, you followed the company's acts and company law books, etc., that you did at university and advised largely companies about anything and everything. Mm-hmm. So it would be, they would call you and say, you're our company lawyer. The van driver's just hit a car on the A63 or whatever. What do we do? And that's what company lawyers did. They advised companies. But then since then, I suppose probably the 80s, specializations really in anything and everything in law. So you then get corporate lawyers who tend to be, and it's what I do largely now, probably 90% I don't really do any commercial law any longer, commercial agreements. I advise companies or individuals or businesses on selling companies, selling shares in companies, buying companies, merging, refinancing, restructuring, anything to do with companies.
So I guess you're currently working along with people from all walks of life then. It's not just high-end corporate, directors and what have you. It could be...
Gosh, yes, yeah. I mean, it's not just big PLCs. The PLCs tend to go to the, as you'd expect, the very large businesses, the mm-hmm. very, very large firms of lawyers that are not just even national but international.
Yeah.
And, everyone has their position, everyone has their niche. And sure. I suppose ours at Taylor Emmett tends to be SMEs, small, medium enterprises. And in that, you can have a company that's turning over $1 million. You can have a company that's turning over 100 million. I've done the whole range.
Sure. Because you've worked in all sorts of different law firms, haven't you? You've had your own firm.
You make it sound as if I'm constantly on the move.
No, well, over a long, magnificent career.
20-something years with one very big national company. Uh-huh. And then other than that, I had 3 or 4 years running my own practice. And then before coming to Taylor Emmett, I had 3 years or so with a boutique corporate law mm-hmm. offering. But, you do, unless you're going to stay with one firm, I suppose in 40 years this year, admitted. 2023, I admitted 1983 as a lawyer.
Yeah, not bad.
You might well get more than a couple law firms.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. You are allowed to move jobs, it's fine. So, obviously we've chatted before, and I remember you telling me you grew up in a fishing community, didn't you, in East Yorkshire?
In Hull.
In Hull?
Yeah. Hull.
In Hull?
Not Hull.
No.
Yeah.
So it must have been quite a transition moving from that sort of life into law school and then through into the sort of corporate world.
Yeah, I mean, both sides of my family were fishermen for 400 years on each side, 300 or 400. One part of mum's family came from Scotland, dad's family came from Brixham and Ireland to Hull for fishing. Simple. And I broke the mould, so there you go.
Yeah. So were you the first one in your family to go to university?
First one to go to grammar school, first one to go to university, first one to do any form of job, I think, that involved...
That didn't involve
fish or something to do with fish or Coopers. I mean, one of my great grandfathers was a cooper. I think making the barrels for the fish.
Oh, yeah.
And then others would work on the dock and loading the fish from the trawlers, not just going out fishing.
That sounds like hard work. I think I'd rather make the barrels.
Yeah, the fishing's the hard bit.
Yeah. Dangerous as well.
Oh, yeah. Off Iceland and Greenland.
So here you are at Taylor Emmett. You've been here about a year now, is that right?
Just short, 10 months, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and so you kind of, I imagine you're still getting instructions from companies all over the place, given your contact book.
Yes.
What's the sort of, where do you see things in South Yorkshire, the sort of business landscape? Is there any developments or like major projects that you're kind of aware of? That's any exciting things happening around here?
Yeah, well, very good. I'm glad you prefaced it with the fact that my instructions are, I never sort of ever consider myself wherever I might be. So if I was in Newcastle, I would accept instructions from anywhere. And it's the same in Sheffield.
Sure.
So I've got clients in the Midlands at the moment, London, North East, anywhere and everywhere. But the good news, I think, having only been here 10 months, is I think, I hate to say the word, but probably a resurgence of metals and engineering. I was instructed this morning in relation to by a very, very large foreign company trying to acquire engineering companies because the skills of engineers and related skills in manufacturing are in this region, still in this region. And so no one's going to come in from China, Japan, America and find that same thing in London. You'll find media and accounts and
the arts,
anything like that. But this still remains, the best place to find good engineers.
That's very encouraging.
And it's now, the other aspect to that is that you can't seem to recruit very easily. So, I would say that would be great for me because people are looking to purchase companies to get those skills in rather than putting an advertisement in the Sheffield newspapers saying engineers wanted, because generally it's not fruitful. And
so they're just scooping at businesses.
That's right.
That's the way to do it.
That's how I see it. There's a lot of people at the moment. So in the 10 months I've been here, I've bought 2 companies in relation to steel, and as I said, I've just been instructed in relation to another one. Had dinner on Thursday, and I was approached to say by an engineering company saying, do you know of any engineering businesses for sale? So it has to be interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's quite a bit of interest around here then at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's got a great future around here. I mean, there are a lot of areas in the UK that are struggling. Yeah. But I honestly think Sheffield and Rotherham and Chesterfield and areas around, they've had their struggles for many, many, many years. Yeah. Like we did in Hull with fishing and lots of Yorkshire had with coal mining. I think you're now on the up, definitely, without a doubt.
Oh, that's great. I know you only, I very up. Go out to the motorway from Sheffield, and you go out to the motorway through Rotherham now, and you go down the Parkway, and all you're seeing is these new high-tech buildings springing up everywhere. And there's a real air of optimism, isn't there?
Well, one of my clients that I've acted for 26 years, they're in steel industry. Mm-hmm. They supply plant and machinery to make steel worldwide. They are just having a new office and warehouse built on the Advanced Manufacturing Park, the very one you're speaking of, probably on Parkway. And, we've been instructed on that.
Fantastic. So you're a busy man.
Yeah, very.
Good to hear. So there's all this investment, there's all this growth. What do you see as the sort of legal implications of that from your side of things? Is it just more work, more instructions, or is there specific challenges?
I don't think the process has really changed in my time as a lawyer, other than when I first started, you could never use a company's own money. The purchaser could never use the target company's own money to purchase the company. There were processes that were very, very complicated. They used to call whitewashing, where you tried to go through the revenue and ask for permission to do something, but it was somewhat difficult. But now you find more You've probably seen it in the papers, what's called leveraged purchases.
Like Man United.
Possibly, yes. Well, the original one by the Glazers.
Yeah, that's
sure.
right. Yeah.
Where they use the business's own income, their own assets and their debt to effectively buy the business. And then hopefully the business grows, and then that adds shareholder value whilst hopefully reducing the debt.
And then you sell it on to the Saudi Arabians for 4 billion quid.
Exactly.
Nice
but on a smaller scale, it's a very similar thing. Invoice discounting, etc., where you assist cash flow by having a facility, an invoice facility with a bank or a financier. Helps cash flow once you've bought it. So you see a lot more of that. That's a change.
So people will lend you money against work that you've got coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been instructed in relation to a matter where, in actual fact, when I examined the term sheet or the heads of terms, it would appear to me that the buyer isn't really paying anything for the business. So the sellers are very keen to leave. They want to retire. So instead of carrying on and, let's say, making £1 million profit a year and continuing, they effectively have sold the business, and the buyer will pay that £1 million income to them for, let's say, the next 3, 4, 5 years, and then they'll own the business, and the sellers will have gone. But effectively, they're not putting really anything or very little of their own money into the acquisition.
And I suppose there's that peace of mind as well for the seller, isn't there? Because then they know that their staff, their employees, the people that have grown the business with them, their jobs will be safe, at least for the short term.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. So, if you were advising a company that wanted to come into South Yorkshire, was looking at the particular considerations that they would be thinking about in this area, or is it something that's quite just broad across the country?
I think it's broad across the country, but I mean, just to go back on what I was saying, I think that the people that would be very attracted to coming here would be in engineering and metals.
Yeah.
As I've seen myself, and I'm sure other lawyers in the area will have seen, there's a great deal of interest in what one would call the traditional skills: mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, design engineering. It's McLaren.
Yeah.
Another example, they've come here because the skills sets are here. They're not going to find them, I doubt very much, in Cornwall. No. They're not going to find them in the centre of London.
No. It's really good to hear, actually, because for all my life, basically, all you've ever heard about Sheffield and the sort of Sheffield greater region is, doom and gloom, there's no jobs, basically the full Monty. It's basically that story. I don't know if you've seen that film. You probably haven't.
I have.
Yeah. So it's really good. And so in terms of business opportunities in South Yorkshire compared to other regions, is that what we're talking about? We're talking about these old-fashioned industries, the highly skilled manufacturing, etc. This is where you want to be. Yeah,
I mean, the use of old-fashioned, they don't remain old-fashioned, otherwise they would never have, survived, and they wouldn't be profiting now. It is just the skills, and I mean, I doubt very much whether one never knows whether shipbuilding will come back to Sunderland and Newcastle or Glasgow, but those skills have been retained in this area and other areas. I don't suppose you could find a shipbuilder now, really, or someone who's a ship design. Mm-hmm. Certainly when I worked in Newcastle for well over 10 years, certainly the shipping part of the city had disappeared.
Yeah.
Other than the odd cruise ship, that was it. Whether they'll come back, I don't know. But here in this region, I can say to you that for whatever reason, kids are still wanting to be engineers.
That's good.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if it came back here, it can come back there, can't it?
Sure. But I think,
do you think
there's a lot of foreign investment. As I say, US, Chinese, German, doing another one in selling. Well, it's in the Midlands, it's not in this area, so perhaps a bad example, but French company, huge French company. So there are, that thing about when we left Europe, that, that would be it. Someone turn the lights out. Certainly not in my experience. There's lots of people want to invest in the UK rather than investing into France, Germany, Italy, Spain. they want to be here.
And do you think that's because of the skills that we've got here, or do you think there's other things at play?
I do. I think skills are important. I think the language is important. I think, and believe it or not, I never ever bought into that. I think the work ethic is good. This thing about lazy British workers, I've never bought into.
Don't see it in this firm, do we?
No,
God,
certainly not. No, certainly not.
So I suppose if you, just to kind of take it to the logical next step, then presumably we're going to need in this area, we're going to need a lot of graduates and young people training into these areas, because there's going to be it seems like we're in a bit of a mini boom as things are going.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, from conversation I had with that company this morning, they had 2 young guys, one's already qualified, going through engineering, going through university, and they paid for all their fees. And between July and September, during the non-academic period, they worked at that company. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the 3 years, they came out as an engineer and they joined the company. And that's certainly a way. And then, the sort of people, apprenticeship schemes, I suppose that clarify that, not apprenticeships, sort of people like traditional, like electricians and mechanics, etc., which I don't know a great deal about, to be quite frank with you. We even have apprentice schemes for lawyers now. It's for people who don't want to go to university and run huge debts up as students. So you've got to be giving them another methodology, and that's certainly working.
And it's fantastic as well for like social mobility, isn't it? Because you're going to have kids coming from backgrounds that would perhaps not traditionally have gone into sort of highly skilled, professional, highly paid jobs that have now got a way in.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Which has got to be good for everyone. So, Brexit is working. Is that our conclusion? Wow, that is a hot take. You won't hear that on the other podcasts. Brilliant. What is it? Have you got working on any interesting instructions at the moment? Have you got anything that's come in?
I've got a very interesting one, but it's not in this region. As I said to you, I get instructions for buying an airport.
Really?
In the UK, yeah, not Heathrow or,
sure, yeah.
But it's light aircraft with many hangars and helicopters. But very interesting process. I've not come across another lawyer in my experience I'm sure there will be somewhere, but I've never come across them who've bought airports, which is interesting because you're dealing with a lot of regulatory provisions about who can own an airport.
Oh, is it quite tightly controlled?
Oh, very, very, yeah, very.
And what?
It's about security of the nation,
of the airspace.
Yes, and the nation itself. Any nation doesn't want airports and airspace owned by a foreign entity. So
they have to. So it's a British company then.
So that's a very interesting instruction.
Yeah.
And the others, generally, I think the others tend to be. I do quite a bit in scrap metal, and they're always good fun.
Yeah.
You deal with some characters in
yes. Yes, I'm yet to meet a scrap metal man that wasn't a definite character. I've not met loads, but everyone I have met, definitely.
I've once or twice been offered to have a fight in the car park with them, just for fun.
Sounds like growing up in Hull.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't back it down. Right.
Fantastic. Well, that's been so interesting. Thanks, PJ.
Not a problem.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It's been fantastic.
Pleasure.
Cheers. Thanks very much for listening. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you'd like to learn more about any of the subjects we've touched upon, we've handpicked some free resources for you, which we will put in the show notes. There's also loads of info on our website, so head over to tayloremmett.co.uk. If something we've spoken about today has given you a burning desire to speak to a solicitor, and let's face it, why wouldn't it have? Then we'd love to speak to you. Head over to the website again, that's tayloremmett.co.uk for more information. You'll find all our contact details right there, so give us a shout. We're lovely, I promise.